It's an Arch production. Every first-person shooter has a multitude of weapons to choose from. Pistols, shotguns, rifles, snipers, rocket launchers, and so on. But among those many weapons, there's one so fundamentally broken that even the biggest FPS game companies in the world don't know how to solve the issue. And the many different attempts made to balance the weapon can only be described as desperate. The weapon I'm talking about, which you most likely already deducted from the title of the video, is the sniper. Let's face it, a competitive shooter is not complete without at least one sniper for the player to choose from. The often glued-on magnified scope with the seemingly missing damage drop-off allows the player to quite easily pick off targets on any range. In nowadays shooters, we often get to pick from two different kinds of snipers. Semi-automatics, often shrouded by the marksman rifle name, a fancy term for snipers that are able to put multiple shots down range in relative quick succession, compared to its counterpart, the bolt-action snipers. Heavy-hitting, slow-firing, often one-shotting monstrosities created by mankind. And this part is where the issue seemingly no one can solve begins. To understand the issue better, let's say we are making a game. We finish the maps, iron out the movement, and now it's time to balance our game's iconic armory. A weapon can be balanced in 7 different ways: damage, headshot damage, fire rate, range, recoil control, mobility, and handling. Games often don't show all of these stats when showcasing a weapon for simplicity's sake, but this is basically where it comes down to. So, let's make an assault rifle. This assault rifle will be the core of our entire game, so we have quite the responsibility to bear. If we decide to give the gun a super strong time to kill, then we will have to balance all the guns around it in the same fashion. Same if we decide to make the gun weak, then the other weapons have to be on the same weaker side too. It's important to make this gun feel as nice as possible. So let's make it so it takes 4 shots to get a kill, 1 headshot with a body shot to kill, average fire rate, average range, easy to control, also average mobility, which basically means movement speed when equipped, and finally handling, which stands for aim down sight speed and other handlings of the guns. Awesome, the M4 is now done. But before we head over to another gun category, let's make an alternative to the assault rifle for the players to play with. And like every other game does, we will make a Kalashnikov. Super original, I know, but for some reason the players never get enough of it. Stats-wise, we shouldn't make it much different from the M4, as it's within the same gun category, but still different enough to make it feel distinctive, and not just a cheap copycat. So we up the damage, and to make it distinctive, we also make it so you can one-tap with the gun, like you would with the AK in CSGO and in Valorant. To keep the time to kill relatively the same to the M4, we also have to lower the fire rate. And boom, our second gun is done. Now we create the submachine gun for our game. Same damage numbers as the M4 and even higher fire rate, but at a cost, as the range is considerably worse. And for good measures, here is another submachine gun. Let's also make a marksman rifle for our game. High damage, slow fire rate, and incredibly far damage drop-off. Not quite a sniper yet, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we make the sniper, we have to make its counterpart, the shotgun. Super strong damage, capable of one-shotting even the tankiest opponents on close range. And it has to be on close range because our range is hilariously bad. The faster mobility and handling helps the shotgunner close the gaps where needed, making the shotgun a force to be reckoned with. Finally, we have the problem child, the sniper. Let's have a look at the stats, shall we? Yeah, so here is the issue. The sniper is just like the shotgun, a one-hit machine. But the major difference being is that the sniper is a one-hit machine on any range, while the shotgun can only do it on close quarters. But is this really an issue with the sniper class? And if so, how big is it and how can we possibly fix it? On long range, you could argue that it makes sense. The slow-paced playstyle of the sniper, who waits for an unexpected soul to walk into his sights, would be frustrating to play if you wouldn't kill your opponent with one hit. However, like I learned from my recent course I took, you can't always create a solid conclusion with just looking at it from your own perspective. Ask yourself this question: is it fair that the moment you peek into a sniper's line of sight, you die? The seemingly undying player base of Team Fortress 2 actually struggles with this question for a long time. The sniper, like the name might suggest, is made to snipe. In TF2, a game where your time to kill is pretty weak especially on longer ranges, Fighting against the sniper can be downright infuriating. If you are on one side of the field and the sniper is on the other side, you just lose. I even asked my community on my other channel if anyone had a good answer to this solution, and most people just outright gave up. People know that peeking a sniper is a lost cause if they are holding you down from far away. Is this fair? You could argue it is. After all, that's what snipers are made for. But the counter-argument is that the mere presence of a one-hitting sniper in your match is enough to scare people to avoid taking the big and more exposed routes on the map. For the sake of not derailing before getting to the biggest issue, it's better to say that it's probably balanced on longer ranges. Just like shotguns are one-hitting on close range, there's also a gun that one-hits on further ranges. And just like the sniper deters people from taking open paths, a shotgun announcing its presence on the map in its own way deters you from taking close quarter routes. So yeah, on long range, snipers are balanced, but only if the shotguns in your game have a 0 time to kill on close range. And you might have guessed, in Team Fortress 2, they do not. Now let's take a closer look, as in literally closer, as we're now on medium range. Because a bullet can't seemingly do more damage the longer it travels, the time to kill is still 0. So if someone jumps in front of us with an AK, we still win, even though his gun is specifically made for medium range engagements. And the same is with the SMGs on close range, with their even faster time to kill than the AK. SMGs are made to shred people on close range. Yet the bolt action sniper still wins. Only if we grab the shotgun, there's a contender for us on close range. But here's my undoubtedly hot take. Bolt action snipers on close range are sometimes better than actual shotguns. Let's take a look at the recent Call of Duty title, Modern Warfare 2, a game with many assault rifles, shotguns and one-hitting snipers. A map notorious for having almost an entire area handcrafted for shotguns to be dominant in, Farm 18, can easily be occupied by one bolt action sniper. I won't get too much into the shotguns today, because that's really for another video dedicated to shotguns as a whole, but shotguns are close range weapons because of their bigger pellet spread and high base damage. Unfortunately, there's one issue with this. Because the gun is made with the idea to one-hit people on close range only, your damage drop-off is often unrealistically aggressive. It also doesn't help that if you don't hit at least 50% of your pellets on target, you might just not kill your opponent. This is done so on close range, you always have a way to contest the shotgun player. So how do we abuse its weakness? We hold a tight angle. But here as well, there is an issue. The issue being that when holding tight angles, that you often only get to shoot one bullet, maybe two before someone runs past the angle. The human reaction time just isn't fast enough to immediately register someone running by. So when someone runs by, we shoot our shot, hopefully tag him a bit, and then move out of the pixel angle to finish the wounded enemy. Here is the slightly bigger issue than before. We are playing against a shotgun. We lit him up, we swing out of cover, he turns around and we die. He has to shoot us once, while we need to shoot him a couple times. It's not rocket science, just simple time to kill differences. But when we hold the angle with a sniper on the other hand, we shoot our shot, lit him up, oh wait, he's dead now. We one-hit killed him and he was never in a position to kill us because of the tight angle. Right then. But Arch, I hear you cry. That is such a minor aspect of the close range engagement. And yeah, while that is correct, it's also not. True, if the shotgun and I run into the room simultaneously, it's technically easier for the shotgun to win, as you don't have to ADS with the shotgun to be deadly, while you do with the sniper. But if I'm already in the room and zoomed in holding a tight angle, I will win. It's not even close, I one-hit him and he dies. And if he does pre-fire me, which he can try, it won't kill me because not even 30% of his pellets hit me. And don't underestimate how often we hold angles in video games. If you are not actively trying to contest a new area, you are holding an angle. So I don't think it's fair to call holding a pixel angle, the pinnacle of the many ways we hold angles, something you don't do very often. And on top of that, if he and I run into the room while in ADS, it's a fair fight. If anything, it's easier for the sniper to win because your bullet doesn't randomly spread out like the shotgun's pellets do, which with some bad luck can just get you to lose. That is why the sniper could be stronger on close range than even the shotgun, a weapon made to be overpowered in the close quarters.
Drop it! Suspect DOA.
Okay, let's recollect ourselves. A time to kill of 0 on any range, and a sometimes even better alternative for the shotgun. This can't be right. How do we let it go this far? And why oh why isn't everyone just straight up playing a bolt-action sniper all the time? To have a better understanding on why no one is able to properly balance the weapon, and why it's been a seemingly invisible issue in the FPS industry for dozens of years, we have to travel back in time. Let's have a look at the history of the first FPS titles that included a sniper. Most old-school gamers unanimously agreed that Quake, or rather its improved multiplayer-only version Quake Worlds, started the trend of the multiplayer first-person shooters. Released in 1996, the game was a huge success on release, scoring a solid 9 to 9.5 reviews all over the place. The original game had a multiplayer support on release, but there were a lot of issues that made the gameplay feel laggy and unresponsive. So just half a year later, they released a multiplayer-only version with way better connectivity. I know, the original Doom was here 3 years earlier, but that version of Doom doesn't allow you to freely look up and down, so I'm not going to get much into the details. Let's have a look at the sniper in Quake, and if it was already this broken back in 1996. Wait, no sniper? An overwhelmingly positive reviewed game that doesn't have a sniper rifle? Players like to call the original Quake a child of the Doom series, and it's kind of showing. Doom 1993 didn't have a sniper, and Quake didn't go out of their way to make one either. So which title set the unspoken rule of always having a sniper rifle in the FPS game? The next major title that the majority of the player base agrees on that shaped the FPS genre is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. Released 2 years later in 1998, it's a game focused on realistic gameplay and enemies only taking 1 or 2 bullets to drop. A game like this, prized for its realistic gameplay, surely must have a sniper rifle available for the SWAT officers. Well, no they do not. Shotguns, assault rifles, SMGs, pistols, all of them were already mainstream available during the early days. But the sniper, apparently not yet. I tried doing some research why, and I couldn't find a good reason aside from a good guess. Older games are made with some hefty limitations. Render distances had to be near close for a playable 30 FPS, and if you're lucky 60. By having players run with a sniper with a massive zoom, it would mean that the game has to render things further away, which slows the game down to an unplayable 10 FPS if the player doesn't have a PC that isn't at least $1,000. It might also be that those games are just honestly better off without a sniper, as it takes 1 to 2 bullets to drop a terrorist anyway. Okay, this game must have a sniper. Counter-Strike. No, not Global Offensive, Source or Condition Zero, just Counter-Strike. Released in the year 2000, it was just like the previous games I covered, a massive success. And better yet, it didn't launch with 1 sniper, not 2, but 3 distinctive snipers to choose from. 2 bolt action, and 1 auto sniper, or like the CSGOers call it, Silver's best friend. Let's have a look at the 2 bolt action rifles, the Scout and the AWP. They are both guns that barely got changed over the last 22 years. Even in CSGO, the newest title on the Counter-Strike installment, the guns are basically identical. The Scout being the AWP's cheaper brother that can't one-hit people on the body, but does provide more mobility. Because of this, it's not really a popular choice, and only gets bought on rounds where they would like to low buy anyway to save money for the real guns, like the AWP, our lovely one-hit machine on any range. Okay, interesting. Even in the first big FPS title that includes a sniper, it's a one-hit wonder. Meaning the sniper formula hasn't gotten changed after all these years. The thing is though, it's not really unbalanced in CSGO. Every team in CS plays often 1 AWP and 4 AKs or M4s. For some odd reason, they don't go for 5 AWPs, while the gun has an instant time to kill compared to the M4 and AKs. What is going on here? To understand the issue at hand, we have to do a jump back to early in the video where we defined the 7 values of the sniper. Let's see what we can change to make the gun balanced, starting with damage. Instead of instant killing someone, why not lower it so it doesn't one hit in the body anymore? Like, make it so you do a straight 99 damage. 1 point of damage below one-shotting someone. It would mean that the time to kill is now roughly 2 seconds, but this would make sniping extremely frustrating. There is nothing more annoying than dealing 99 damage to your player just to die to him just after. It's just not fun. Plus, it would make the bolt-action sniper a horrible choice over its semi-automatic brother, the marksman rifle, as they also 2-hit but shoot a lot faster. So damage we shouldn't really change, unless we want to make the bolt action snipers underpowered, which technically solves the issue, but also not really. Fire rate is next, and yeah, what can we do here? We can slow the fire rate from once per 2 seconds to once per 5 or even 10, but we kind of create the issue like we did with the damage idea. You shoot your opponent and kill him instantly, because your time to kill is still 0 MS, and then you have to wait 5 or 10 seconds to shoot your next bullet. Meaning that a second guy that runs in within this time frame will kill you without a doubt. You can't defend yourself after all. Does that sound fun and fair? I mean, on close range, I guess it would punish snipers that get too cocky, but on long to medium range, where the sniper is supposed to shine, it makes for an awkward moment when you pick someone off and then have to wait before you can shoot someone else, slowing your gameplay down by a lot, and forcing you to sit as far away as possible to make sure you can reposition when you kill someone. It would slightly balance the sniper, but it makes them a lot less fun to play. Not to mention, if you are a confident aimer, it doesn't matter how long it takes to shoot your next shot, because you never miss anyway. There is never a possibility where you can get multiple kills quickly for that sweet dopamine hit that we all play games for. Because of this, I think it's better to leave the fire rate where it is now, as it's by far the slowest in the game already, while keeping the gun engaging. We have to keep in mind, people, that fun and balancing factors are two completely different values that we have to justify. If we would implement this change, we would barely nerf the gun while ruining the fun factor. A bad trade in my opinion. Range is another value that I don't feel like we should touch. If we would lower the range stat, we would only add insult to injury, as we would discourage people to use it for longer ranges, and encourage them to use it for close and medium range as we one hit on that range, only reinforcing the issue at hand, so it's better to leave the stat untouched. So how about recoil? Let's just increase it by a ton. Oh gosh darn dilly, it's just that easy. This is called sarcasm, by the way. The mobility stat is, I guess, something we could change. The thing is though, the gun already has a horrible mobility stat. And lowering it even more, where you would basically run like a snail, is not fun, neither necessary for balancing. Guess our final hope is to balance the sniper using the handling stats? And yeah, we kind of could actually. The slowest guns to ADS with in most games are the light machine guns and the snipers. And we could make it even slower for the snipers, so on close range, you can't quickly ADS to counter someone suddenly running in. But I know I'm repeating myself here. This also would make playing sniper feel really unresponsive, aka not fun. If this was also the way to balance snipers in games, every game would be doing this, but they do not. In Valorant and Counter-Strike, aiming down sights is basically instant. And even in titles where it takes longer, like in the Call of Duty games, it's honestly not that bad. Plus, keep in mind that the moment we are scoped in, we are the same one-hit monster as before. So, well, I guess that's it. We can't balance one of these stats or the gun would be annoying to play or straight up underpowered. But we can change some variables. Pop quiz. What is the one thing a sniper almost always comes attached with? Tick, 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 a magnified scope. A scope is a funny thing. It makes it easier to pick off targets on further ranges, as you basically create a bigger hitbox to shoot. But at the same time, makes it way harder to track on the close range engagements. In the game Valorant, the problem child of this video is called the Operator, which is often regarded as the noob gun because of the one-shot issue. But the truth is, if it wouldn't come with a scope attached to it, everyone would play it, because you no longer get the disadvantage you get when playing with a scoped gun. A disadvantage with the scope? How is that possible, right? It makes everything bigger, making them a bigger target. That's amazing. And yeah, while that is true on long range, on close range, it's actually downright horrible. When you zoom in, you don't actually move your camera closer to the target. Instead, you decrease your FOV, which stands for field of view. The higher the field of view, the more you see around you. The lower, the less. The downside of having a lower field of view is that you see less around you. You get tunnel vision. If you are looking at the doorframe and holding it with a sniper, you basically force yourself to really focus on that doorframe. So if someone peeks you from anywhere else, plus if you are positioned on close range distance of the door and someone swings you, they move incredibly fast across your screen because of how zoomed in you are on that spot. Just take a look at this example here. Here our opponent is moving relatively slow, while if you hold the door with an operator, he moves insanely fast, which is insanely hard to react to. By forcing players to have a scope on the gun, you encourage long-range engagements while discouraging the close-range ones. Perfectly balanced, I digress. It does make close-range engagements for snipers harder, but if you are playing against a skilled sniper player, they won't be in close-range distance anyway. Because any experienced sniper player backs off from an angle as much as possible anyway. Even if it's a close quarters area, they will stick to the back wall to make sure they have enough time to react. And keep in mind, if that was the only thing needed to balance a sniper to match the assault rifles or the situational guns like shotguns, the amount of money needed in games to buy the sniper would be either the same as the M4 or cheaper. The difficulty getting a gun is also a variable we could change. However, this changing the price tag is also the seemingly only way developers know how to balance a gun. Just slap a really high price tag onto it and call it a day. Or if you're making an arena-themed shooter, just place the gun in a high, hard-to-reach spot. Okay, this doesn't have to be bad. Maybe developers want certain guns in their game to be overpowered, and in return, reward those who saved enough money or risk getting the gun in the hard-to-reach spot with an easier time. But that isn't the case in most shooters, and it just feels like a cheap excuse of a balancing tool because they couldn't figure out a better way to balance the sniper. Also, what if the game you're playing in spawns you in with a gun of your choice? Something some relatively smaller titles like Call of Duty or Battlefield do? If you don't have a gun spawn or economy system in your game, this way of balancing is just not possible. Not to mention, while we try to prove having a 4-scope does balance the gun from super overpowered to just overpowered, those games do the complete opposite. They allow you to take off your magnified scope and replace them with the default iron sight or a red dot. They even encourage taking off your scope, as having a scope adds a massive sniper glint and a major nerf to the ADS speed. The balancing teams of the bigger titles are so unsure about what to do with the bolt action issue that completely different balancing teams developed a completely different opinion on the scope's effectiveness. Shooters like CSGO, Fortnite and Valorant argue scopes do add to the better balancing of the weapon, while titles like Call of Duty, Battlefield and PUBG argue it's the complete opposite and having a big scope actually makes the sniper even more overpowered. So they reward players with better handling if they run a non-magnified scope instead. After brainstorming for a couple hours, I came up with 3 possible solutions to balance the sniper in a way that it shines in the situations it should be shining. Solution 1. Originally, I was thinking, why not slow the ADS so much down so you force people indirectly to not push anymore? But then it hit me. Remember when I said CSGO players rather run one bolt action than multiple on a skilled team? It's the same in Valorant and other team-based shooters. You never run multiple bolt action guns because, well, it's hard to push an area with. While the gun does have a faster time to kill, it also has a slow movement accuracy recovery time, which is something CSGO applied to all weapons in the game. And in a game where you can get headshot one-tapped by guns like the Vandal and Sheriff, the bolt action sniper kind of looks balanced. If you force your players to stand still to shoot, increase the price of the gun, together with, if you agree that a scope nerfs the gun, a scope with the slow accuracy recovery, and widely available guns that can one-hit kill you in the head, and ability/possibilities to quickly move to dodge a bullet, makes it kinda balanced. But that is if the sniper is pushing as an attacker. If he holds a site or area, the only thing that beats the sniper is an incredibly skilled shot or a flash coordinated with a peek. Not many choices to beat it on defense here, but apparently it's balanced enough for those titles. You might notice I'm not really too settled on this. I know there are better ways to balance a sniper than just making it harder to get and forcing every gun to be inaccurate while moving. But yeah, the first solution is basically changing your entire game to be just like CSGO or like Valorant. Then the sniper goes from overpowered to current player base acceptable. I don't like to call it balanced because I don't think the majority of the casual players in those games know how powerful a one-hitting sniper is, or they aren't skilled enough just yet to use it to its max potential. Think about it yourself. If you play a sniper, you have to position yourself differently, focus on crosshair placement even more, are unable to pre-fire angles, you have to really hit your flicks, etc, etc. You have to play and use skills you don't utilize to the same extent with the other weapons. Anyway, this solution won't cut it for me. you would have to change way too much to your game, and if you don't want to make another CSGO ripoff, it just doesn't work. I want a solution where it's in the price/availability range of shotguns and assault rifles, while not being as deadly as one on close range. Team Fortress 2 Sniper, which I mentioned 6 pages ago, has an interesting mechanic. Hitting a headshot always does triple your damage, but the base damage scales with the time spent aiming down sights. When scoping in, it starts at 50 damage, so it's 150 a headshot, which means you are able to one-shot 6 out of the 9 classes in the head on any range. If you take 4 seconds to gradually fully charge, you one-hit anyone on any range in the head, as your base damage is now 150, meaning you can also kill once again 6 out of the 9 classes, but now also in the body with one hit. This mechanic of aiming down sights longer to charge up your shot is in my opinion a pretty good balancing tool. Here is what I'm proposing. The price of the weapon, if you want an economy system in your game, should be the same as the shotgun. You always one-shot your opponent in the head, no matter what range or charge meter level. But now the juicy part. The longer your ADS, the more damage a shot will do on close range. This concept is something I haven't seen before in a game. Instead of charging your shot for all ranges or just long range, we do it for close range. Hear me out. It takes, let's say, 4 seconds to fully charge your shot. The first second, it doesn't charge, and you do 100 damage on the longer ranges. Which yes, means you one-hit enemies, but that is once again completely fair if your shotguns are one-shotting too. Uncharged, we do 75 damage on medium and 50 on close range. 1 second later, all damage is increased by 25. So the long range damage is 125, medium on 100, and 75 on close. Meaning, if we take 2 seconds to aim before contesting, we can one-hit kill the assault rifle that contests us on the medium ranges. And 2 seconds is almost the same as their time to kill. The fourth and final second all deal enough damage to one hit in the body. I know this sounds like a very wild and somewhat unrealistic idea, but I think any form of less bullet damage on close range is actually really balanced and discourages players to not push on close range all the time. And hey, we don't even need to punish the players for having a scope, or rather not having one. By taking this approach, we make the sniper the complete opposite of a shotgun, while keeping the possibility to, in the name of self-defense, one-hit opponents on close range by hitting a headshot, and a body shot if you're holding an angle for at least 4 seconds. If you aren't sure that forcing to be scoped for longer is enough to balance the snipers, think about it like this. If your game has flashes or throwable grenades, which let's face it, all games nowadays have at least some kind of tactical ability that does that, you can force the sniper to unscope to look away or to move, meaning they have to recharge their shot. It also means that on medium range, the sniper's time to kill from unscoped would be the time to ADS plus 2 seconds. Slightly slower than the assault rifle. And that is fine, since you missing one shot means game over anyway. It keeps that I have to hit my shot mentality, while not making it unbalanced. And keep in mind, if you just hit head, you won't be dead, no matter what range. The final approach I have for the bolt action issue is just really simple, and that is simply make it so you're magnified even more. If you have a 20 times magnification on your gun, it will be really hard to focus on close range engagements. Even on medium, it will be quite tough, but it will be doable. This only works, however, when you're really inaccurate when hip firing. So you have to look through the scope, or you won't be able to hit the broadside of a barn. I'm not really sure how fun the weapon will be, but it is a solution. So, which FPS game has the worst balanced rifle, and which, in my opinion, has the best? Without a doubt, the most broken snipers are in the Call of Duty series. You can choose from many snipers, and if you grind the attachment out just a little bit, you can one-shot opponents while speeding through the air. It's ridiculous and just downright feels unfair and frustrating to play against. But hey, I know it's not much, but Call of Duty is known for having balancing issues. The best balanced sniper in FPS is the sniper in TF2. Specifically, I would nominate an alternative weapon of the New Zealander, the Bazaar's Bargain. It takes extra long to charge up the shot, which is a mechanic I'm really fond of if you haven't noticed. But in return, the bigger your headshot kill streak, the faster you charge up your next shot, with a short max duration of 1.8 seconds to charge up if you have 6 kills. It rewards the players with skill, while still giving newer players ample opportunity to retaliate. Let me know in the comments section which sniper rifle and FPS you think is the worst and which is the best. Concluding the video, snipers are an unbalanced hot mess. While big groups of players seem to be fine with the bolt-action snipers in games like Valorant and CSGO, I think, and I know there are many out there that think the same, that the snipers aren't quite there yet. If developers go for my second solution, which is the longer charge equals more close range damage idea, I think it would certainly remove the frustrations most players have with the snipers, meaning more fun, while also making the gun more skill-based with its always one-shot headshot mechanic, while simultaneously keeping it casual player friendly with its charge mechanic for close or the medium range engagements. I'll be honest, it's not the perfect and most realistic idea, but will make bolt action snipers the long range gun truly made for the long range players. Hell, by doing this we can definitely lower the cost and up the ADS speed of the sniper, which makes them feel even more responsive and even more fun. Finally, this is the part in the video where I humbly ask you to consider subscribing. And if you want to be guaranteed notified when I upload my next video, also consider hitting the bell button. Tell me what you liked and didn't like about the video in the comment section. I value all of them. And if you want to see more Arch content or Archmeten content, you can find the links in the comment section. I sincerely hope you enjoyed my first video, and keep going.